Hi guys, Stephen Edwards from Grow Profit First Accountants, formerly CTA, formerly Cheltenham Tax Accountants. So I want to talk about something that will help you build a more sustainable, profitable business, and it does tie into your finances. So if you bear with me, but actually it's more about how to grow your business in an easier way, a simpler way, essentially. So I've been around loads of business owners in the last sort of 10 years. I've been in lots of masterminds, lots of workshops, as well as working with our own clients. We've got hundreds of clients. We've worked with probably over 1,000 businesses now, I'd imagine, since we first started. And one of the biggest challenges I see, so there's two challenges actually I see. One of them is being too busy in the day-to-day, which is quite a big challenge. In my latest book, How to Build a Business That Runs Without You, I call it the busy fool system, where people are just so busy doing the thing, they haven't got time to think strategically. They haven't got time essentially to grow their business. You might have heard the phrase, working in your business versus working on your business. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about being a busy fool. You're so busy in your business. There are some exceptions. People might love what they're doing and they're happy. They don't think of themselves as a busy fool. They're busy doing the thing they love, which is absolutely fine. However, in my experience, most of the time, unless you're a freelancer or kind of specialist consultant, one-man band company, if you've got a team, then ultimately you'd like to have more time for yourself to work on the business. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two is, even if you have got the time, even if you have got a team and that's what you want, and you're trying to build this business that kind of gives you more freedom, more profitability to do the things you want in life, because I think ultimately that's what we all want a little bit of. The challenge is the overwhelm, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, is the overwhelm of what to focus on next. There's so much problems, challenges, opportunities in our business. There's always something to do, whether you're putting out fires, whether you're working on a new marketing campaign, a new product, a new service, looking after your biggest customer, whatever it means for you. There's just so much to do as a business owner, and there's so much noise out there today. If you're like me, you're into podcasts, you're into reading business books, you learn things off, it could be anywhere nowadays. It could be YouTube, it could be TikTok, it could be reading, it could be Audible, it could be business networking. But there's so much opinion, there's so much noise, there's so much information. And what happens is you might go to a conference, a convention, you hear something you've heard before, but actually you should be doing it, but you're still not doing it. So the problem is not trying to learn new things. The problem is trying to do the stuff you should be doing. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't learn new things. Part of our rebrand into Grow Profit First is we want to be growing with our clients. We want our team members to be growing. We're a growing business. We want everybody to be learning, growing, kind of collectively. So we absolutely think you should learn new things and grow. However, you first need to consolidate what you know. You need to build strong foundations. And that's what I'm talking about today. So essentially what I call it is fix the machines first. And it's my own kind of thought process that I've been evolving, and I've been clarifying my own thinking. And it just kind of hit me a few months ago that I'm personally always looking for new stuff. It's fun. The dopamine kicks in. Is that thing going to fix, the problems I've got? Is it going to help make the business grow faster? But actually what I realized was our business is kind of one big machine. Essentially, it's a machine. In its most simplest form, the machine needs to deliver to the customers, and it needs to make a profit. That is quite simply the machine as a whole. However, within the big machine, we've got these, what I call mini machines. We've got your client delivery machine. So a customer wants a quote, you give them a quote, they sign up with you, you've got to plan the work or plan the order, allocate resources, do whatever you need to do to deliver it for the customer. When they're satisfied, perhaps you get paid. We could call that the delivery machine in your business. Fulfilling the order if you buy and sell goods, for example. You've also probably got a marketing and a sales machine, or you should have a marketing and sales machine. Even if you just rely on word of mouth, you've got a kind of marketing and sales machine because it's the word of mouth. It might just be happening without any intention, any strategic input. If you spend money on marketing, you might have Google AdWords, you might have SEO, you might have leaflet distribution, you might be doing networking, whatever kind of works for you. There's a machine around your marketing. And then when people are interested in your service, there's probably a process for how do they purchase from you. Do they have a call? Do they have a meeting in our case, what we call a discovery call? Do they go onto your website and fill in a form? So there's a sales machine as well. So you've got a marketing machine, you've got a sales machine, you've got a delivery machine to do the work. You've got an admin machine, the stuff that needs to happen behind the scenes. If you've got a team, you've also got a HR machine. And you might be thinking, I haven't got a HR machine if I've got a team. Well, the lack of a machine is still a machine. It just means it's not well thought through. So if you've got 3 team members and you're thinking, I don't have a HR machine, you must have some system for hiring, for firing, for holidays, for pay reviews, for performance reviews. So essentially there will be a HR machine there. And there's lots of other machines. We can get a little bit nitty gritty and call it the IT machine and so forth, and lots of different ones. However, one of the other big machines I'm going to talk about today is your finance machine. So that's a big part of the equation. So the ones I've mentioned are probably the main machines in your business. So when we talk about building a business, we talk about growing a business, we often refer to revenue. We often refer to the sales that's gone through your business in a year. We often refer to the amount of people in your team. People say, Steve, how many people you got working with you now? And I'll give them a number, and they kind of equate that to building a business, growing a business. But revenue is never benchmark. The size of your premises. How many shops have you got now? How many stores have you got now? How big's your office now? How many desks have you got now? If you're a tradesman, it might be how many vans have you got? How many people have you got on the tools? But the thing is, these are what I call outputs. So your revenue is a result of how well the machines are running in your business. So for example, if you've got a 500k revenue business, you need to have quite a good delivery machine to keep your customers happy, to keep them buying from you again. And you've probably got some kind of marketing machine. So rather than focusing on the business as a whole, rather than focusing on this big old machine, and this is what overwhelms business owners, how do I grow my business? There's all this stuff to do. What we need to focus on is the mini machines in our business. And more specifically, what is going to give us the best return? What's kind of broken or what's not working as good as it could work? So if you were to stick, if your business was a car, if you're going to stick it through one of those computer systems and do a diagnostic test, and it gives you all these error warnings, what's the error warnings in your business? And if we had to kind of ring fence it into the different machines, is it your marketing? If you're delivering an absolutely fantastic service, you've got loads of word of mouth, raving reviews, but you're still not growing, then you've probably got a marketing problem. If you're bringing loads of leads into your business, you're signing people up, but the customer's not staying with you, you've probably got a delivery or customer service problem. If you're doing all of those things and you're still not really making much money or growing, you've probably got a finance problem, a profitability problem. Your numbers probably just don't make sense. And that's what I want to talk about today. So all of these machines are super important. But one of the most important machines is definitely your finance machine, because you can have everything else working, but if you don't know your numbers, if you've not got the right margins, basically, if your machine's not designed to make money and to make a profit, you've got to fail because you've got the wrong strategy in the first place. I have seen people with £1 million business making virtually no profit, making below minimum wage. I've seen I've seen trades businesses triple their growth and make less money when they were 3 times the size as when they were 3 times smaller when they first kind of started in the first few years. I've spoke to people where they've got 10 different products, but only 1 or 2 are actually profitable because they're not analysing the different products in their range. So what do I call this? It might seem a bit complicated. You might be thinking, do I need to be an accountant? Do I need to be a bookkeeper? It's just simply knowing your numbers. In my experience, the really good business owners know their numbers. They know their numbers in terms of the cash flow in their business, in terms of what's profitable, the services, what are their best customers. They understand what to focus on in their business in terms of the numbers. So I'm not going to go into a super deep dive and detail right now because I've already been talking for 10 minutes. But in the coming weeks, I'm going to share with you how to build a solid finance system. We call it the finance function or your finance department. It's having a strategy for what does a good year look like? What do I want my numbers to look like for 2025? If you have no idea on a piece of paper what you think your numbers should look like for 2025, it's a lot harder to make it happen in real life. So when we're talking about understanding in your numbers, it's things like what are the key trends, what are the key metrics I need to pay attention to, what are the warning signs when things are not going to plan, how often am I going to look at my numbers? Is it going to be every week? Is it going to be every month? Is it going to be every quarter? How often am I going to meet with my accountant or my bookkeeper or whoever's in charge of my finances in my business? How are we going to make the decision of what to do more of, to sell more of this, to sell less of that? This all kind of links into knowing your numbers. But I'm going to share something with you that makes it a lot visual and it makes it easier for you to understand the importance of building your finance machine so you can kind of know what to focus on around the numbers in your business. If you're dying to hear about this sooner rather than later, just drop me a message, drop me an email. It's Stephen with a PH at Cheltenham, so Cheltenham Tax Accountants.co.uk, and I'm more than happy to share some details in the meantime. Thanks guys and have a great week. Speak to you soon.